Yes. You can do that.
So,
You can do that.
cool. So let's start in 3 seconds. Three, two, one. So, hello to anyone watching this, or especially to our group, Bipolar Disorder India. I am the admin, Kushal, and I just thought I'd start interviewing people just to keep the group more active and going. And today we are with Simpa, who's a life coach, a psychologist, and many other things. And I'm going to let her speak for herself and give the introduction herself. But I'm looking forward to a nice conversation about bipolar disorder, causes, solutions, everything about neurodivergence, neurodiversity, and let's see how the conversation goes. Simpa, can you please say something about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Kushal, that you initiated this. That you are thinking about that we can actually help more people to bring the awareness to help them manage their situation. So here we are. I am Simpa Mandal. There are many feathers I have on my hat, but primarily I am a psychologist and a trauma-informed coach and healer. But more than all the like tags that I have, what matters to me in this space specifically is that I personally was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, borderline disorder, anxiety disorder around 9, 10 years back in my life. More than so, I mean, I was in class 11. Yeah, I was in class 11 at that time. That's where I got my diagnosis, and then I had my own journey of going through all of it, taking medicine, going through therapy, trying everything under the sun to heal myself. And now, after all these years, then I can fully tell that I have healed a lot. And, like all this tag, all this diagnosis, all those experience do not how do I say, like, bother me anymore or do not control my life anymore. I also have stopped taking medicine. It's been more than 6 years, I guess. I was also under medication for 3 years. But yeah, it has been a journey of many years trying to understand myself, what has happened, what can heal me, and here I am today, and I really look forward to this conversation, sharing my experience, my understanding, my research throughout this year so that, like we can help at least one person, let's say. So, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, but I'm just going to give a disclaimer to the group that even though I know that
Mm,
you're a very well-meaning and very experienced person, and you have a lot of insight and knowledge about this field. But ultimately, what's going on in this conversation is the two of us just sharing our perspectives, and someone shouldn't just blindly listen to us. I mean, they should get all the information from all their sources and come to conclusions themselves. I mean, everyone's free to think for themselves, and we are just sharing our perspectives. So, what I'm trying to
yes.
say is
Mm,
don't blindly listen to us or anyone else for that matter. I mean, absorb the subject matter, know that it comes from good source, and I know Simpa means well. I mean, that's one thing I know about her. I've been connected online with her for a long time, and this is the first time we're actually having a conversation on call. But one thing I know about her is that she means well, and it's not about the money or whatever it might seem that way, but it's definitely not. She wants to help people, and that's the reason I made her a moderator of the group. And yeah, that was my long disclaimer. And let's begin. Okay, let's start with the most basic of the
yeah.
basic. What is bipolar disorder according to you?
Okay.
How? I
Now,
mean,
see, there are. Hmm,
you don't need the textbook definitions. I mean, people can get that
yes.
themselves. But according to your own, understanding and stuff of it, like how would you define what bipolar disorder is?
Yes, yes. So yeah, that's exactly where I would begin, that there are many definitions, many resources out there in the world. I do not want to repeat the textbook thing or what is already there, but this space is actually more to share my journey, my insight, so that like people can also understand from it. Before answering your question, what is bipolar according to me and how I have experienced that, I would really like to touch little upon your disclaimer. I mean, of course, I mean, especially when you get distorted sometime, it's very normal when you are very, let's say, hyperactive state. Your logical center of the brain, it's kind of hijacked. You do not know how to make decision logically, rationally. And that is exactly why many people who experience bipolar disorder, they have impulsive, like purchaser or impulsive decision that they regret later. So again, like understanding that many times when we go through this experience, we tend to do a lot of things impulsively, but again, this space, this discussion is for awareness, and you only pick what serves you and you leave the rest. And yeah, like this is for your own understanding. Now, to get back, what is bipolar? Of course, the textbook definition is there, but I would like to share what I experience, how I experience bipolar. So I remember I was in class ninth or so when my mom would tell me that sometimes I get very, very hyper, and for some days I would, and for some
Oh,
days I would, you know, just not get out of the bed. Now, again, this is one personal sharing that I feel like that's also a fact that a big, big chunk of my memory has been erased. I do not have a lot of memory from my childhood. This is again a very normal thing for a lot of people who have been through a lot of traumatic event, or experience a huge range of mental health disorder that really impacts how your brain function. So even though I do not have a lot of memory from the childhood, but what I remember is actually my mom telling me that I have this highs. Some days I will be on top of the world, and some days I will crash. The memory that I clearly have is actually from when I came to Delhi. So I grew up in in a small town in Kolkata, and I came to Delhi for my master's degree in psychology. And there I like that's the phase where you can say like most of my severe experience started. So I literally left my study in between. I didn't go to like give the exam because I couldn't get out of the bed. That was also the time when I was under medication, and when you take medicine, there are many times you cannot get out of the bed. So
yeah.
there used to be many days where I would go out, socialize, I would try to do something to make money, and like all the impulsive thing that you can talk about. Like really, I think I have made like all range of mistake, literally impulsive spending, impulsive being involved with people, and then regretting it, and then again not being able to get out of my PG room. That was very small room. I still remember I literally wouldn't get out of the bed. I wouldn't even brush my teeth or take shower. I used to experience this like huge crash of energy, and then simply not wanting to exist. The experience that I had at that time, that I do not want to exist. I really want to end my pain, because also I had not only not only bipolar but borderline as well. So I also had a lot of self-harming tendency. I would used to pop up a lot of pill just to numb myself, and then I would get up after a day or so, going through the same pain inside, not knowing what to do. So that was the kind of experience I used to go through. What was the time? It was around 2016 or so. So yeah, yeah, that's
So
how it was.
how
Yeah.
what was the turning point then? Was it like a gradual change, like slowly you made changes and Or was there something that, you just decided, this is it. I'm going to snap out of it. I'm going to uh, change things. Like how did it change and lead to where
Hmm.
you are right now? Was it a particular moment where you realize, where you made the decision, like, okay, I'm done. This is where I change. I'm going to make changes. Or, was like a slow, gradual evolution that, yeah, one step at a time, things happen and eventually you,
You know,
so,
you know what, Kushal? I think we feel that is just a decision of one day, but trust you me, it's not. I have told
okay,
myself many days that, oh, this is it, I'm going to change. And then, because this is also biology, this is fucking
okay,
biology where your brain function in different way. Your nervous system function in different ways. So even on those good rosy days when you feel, oh, I can heal myself, I can do so much more, even after making that decision, telling myself I'm going to heal, I would inevitably have some crash after some days, because
yeah,
again that was biology. So the decision was not made in one single day, but it was made over and over through many years, to be honest, many years, where I
okay,
knew that I genuinely want to experience something different in my life, but at that time I didn't know how. So just the way a child really हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, हाथ पैर मारना, एक बच्चे को कुछ अगर चाहिए तो they will throw tantrum, they will do everything that they can. So I was in that time I was in a state where I literally could do anything to get out of it, like literally. I mean, I was, of course, I had help at that time. I was still taking medicine. I had a psychotherapist. I worked with her for 5 long years to take the support. And even after that, I was sensing that it's not making a lot of change. And that is where I started to how do I say, look into alternative way of healing. This is something we call alternative way of healing, but that's not alternative. That's the way of healing, I would say. This is not something we talk in mainstream, like medicine and everything. But these are just perspective only, right? Like what I'm telling you today, it's just the way it's simple perspective. The traditional psychiatry, that's also a perspective, right? A way of
yeah,
seeing. Today, I'm
yeah,
not telling you to switch like completely. No, I am nowhere telling anyone to leave medicine or like do something different, very drastic. That's dangerous, given that you do not have the stability inside. But what
yeah,
I'm simply offering to you is that there can be many more ways to look into this, which we have
yeah,
not been taught about.
yeah. So, what kind of ways are we talking about? Like, if you can, just
Hmm,
go through a
hmm,
few of these alternate paths one can take towards their healing. What all do they involve?
hmm, hmm. First thing first, do not try to look for any shortcut. Do not think that you will do something one day and it will change your life, change your situation, like altogether. You will get better in one single day. It's not going to happen, right? The second thing is there are many perspectives that we can talk about, but again, like what I'm sharing today, it has come from many years of understanding myself, a lot of research, studying, and mostly like studying my own self. So in the beginning, like of course I ask myself what would I really like to experience in my life, even though at that time you do not have a lot of clarity. When your brain is functioning differently, you do not have a lot of clarity. Even with medicine you have a lot of brain fog. You cannot think perfectly, but I can assure you, in every single one of you there will be something inside, a nudge, a calling, a pull that you would feel that I want to experience something different. This is where it might sound It might sound philosophical or spiritual, but I can assure you there is some navigating force inside you. You can call it your soul guidance, whatever. There are many ways to give it a name. I am not here to tell you that this is what it is, but I'm just here to show you that you will feel that nudge from inside you that I want to experience something different. And then you really have to start understanding, okay, I am willing to see where it started from. What I am experiencing today, it did not occur in the air, right? मतलब ऐसे थोड़ी ना आ जाएगा. It has its reason. It has its root, right? When you really want to see, it's more of being willing to see what has happened with me for me to able to experience what I am experiencing today. What may have gone inside of me. It's more of yeah, you have,
I was going to ask you before we get on to, solutions possible. One thing I want to know from your perspective is what's the difference between a bipolar mind and a normal mind, according to you? Like, what are the differences? How are we different from the regular folk, the average Joe, or, what's the
okay.
differences?
First of all, the definition of normality is very flawed.
Yeah.
It's just that there are some couple of people, couple of scientists who have studied certain range of people and they have derived the curve of normality. There is a proper curve you will see if you see the range of normality, which is very, very flawed.
Okay,
And
fine. Instead of using the word normal, we can use the word the majority because even to give the label bipolar itself is you're limiting yourself to a label. I'm just saying, what's the
yes.
difference between people who are hardwired a certain way, where they are prone to certain kind of mental phenomena that's not usual, like say bipolar, ADHD, anxiety and stuff. Yeah, it's people. There are some people who go through it, and they are the majority who don't go through it to this extent. They might
Hmm.
experience it, but they don't
Hmm.
live with it to this
Hmm.
extent. So have you noticed
Hmm.
any sorts of differences between people who don't have to experience this on a daily basis versus people who do? And I'm not talking about just the suffering, like there
Hmm.
might be there might be ways that we perceive the world itself differently,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Hmm.
say for example someone who has a comorbidity of ADHD and bipolar, like
Hmm.
ADHD, for
Hmm.
example, people might see it as someone who can't focus on things, but at the same time, you can see it as someone who's focusing on many things at the same time, which the average person, I don't want to use the word normal, I'll use the word majority,
Hmm.
which the
Hmm.
majority
Hmm. Hmm.
don't perceive in. And just because they are in the majority, our way of experiencing life is looked down on. I mean, I think the reason we take these medications and stuff is just because we need to we are unable to be in tune with society, or rather we need these medications to put up with society because we are too sensitive to normal phenomena that
Hmm.
most people they don't can't even imagine. For them, it's just normal
Hmm.
phenomena, daily life. For a lot of people,
Hmm.
we need the
Hmm.
medications to put up with society. I'd put it like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Would you have
This is where
anything?
the yeah. This is where the conversation can, like go many ways, but I would try to be limited to this perspective. And even before that, I have to like it feels it's my moral responsibility to say that the way the society is built, the way we think that this is how it's supposed to work, this is normal, this is not normal. We are supposed to fit into this society exactly in this way. Again, this is very flawed, the idea of how society itself function. But we are not going there today in this discussion. Coming back to what's the difference between the people who who go through this severe experience and who do not, who kind of function well in the society, right? Who can adjust in the society. And for a lot of people like us who like neurodivergence, ADHD, like, and there is an entire very broad spectrum for whom it becomes very difficult to fit function into this society. So the major difference biologically or in the brain pattern is like actually how their brain functions for many people. Now again, there is a huge different diverse range of data about how people's brain function without classifying this in the range of normality and abnormality. There are some people who for whom the cognitive part of the brain get hijacked, let's say, time to time. That means, let's say you have some trigger, you have some issue that is going on. It can be anything, it can be external trigger, it can be internal trigger. And all of a sudden, you see, you cannot think normally, function normally, but you are feeling agitated, you are feeling either hyperactive, like again, there is this entire spectrum how you feel about it. So it's mostly about how your brain functions. And even to
Yeah.
understand how your brain actually functions, this is the area where most of the traditional aspect do not go, that we really have to understand how does even our brain started to function in this way in the first place. And there exactly all the childhood history, all the trauma, all the ancestral history comes in, something that we do not consider many times. If you actually go to Google and do your own, like Google research, you will see how people who have been through severe traumatic childhood experience, not only in their own life, but let's say even their ancestor who have been through a lot of traumatic situation, how they perceive the world is very different from a person who is growing up in a more regulated environment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I wouldn't I would say it's not necessarily something is wrong with that person, who grew up with the trauma and
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
living the world slightly differently than most people do. I would say just because it's sort of like a world that's designed for neurotypical people by neurotypical people for neurotypical people. The people who are in the small minority of one's experienced trauma and shit, and the ones who've grown up, I mean, the ones who have these conditions that they are supposed to live with, they are forced to be seen as someone who's not superior, someone who's inferior to them, because the basis on which they are
Hmm.
comparing or measuring is the functionality in which the neurotypicals excel at, because they don't
Hmm.
have to do anything. They just have to go in one direction. I mean, something for a neurotypical that is normal and, easy, like holding on to jobs, like normal corporate jobs and stuff. Someone for a neurodivergent mind, like whether he's bipolar and things, it might be challenging. And I've noticed that among bipolar people.
Okay. It seems Kushal's network was having some issue, and that's how it got disconnected. But I am going to wait here for him to join so that we can resume the conversation again. Yeah.
Let's resume. Sorry for that glitch. My phone started overreacting. Let's continue where we left off, and I have no clue where we left off. So please help me, tell me where we left off, and let's
Yeah.
continue.
So we were sharing how it gets very difficult for neurodivergent people to function in this typical job, how it's easier for other people to have the job, continuing that, but it gets difficult for, like people with ADHD, bipolar, this. entire spectrum. Yeah, that's what you were
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, in that, as admin of the group, I often get messages from people like, I've been taking medications from so many years. Please help me with some earnings, help me find a job. I'm like, that is not my area of expertise. I don't know how to get people jobs. But and I also know that from my interactions with people, I know that people with bipolar disorder often jump from job to job. They leave. They can't handle the situation. They don't get along in the corporate system
Yeah,
like the other
yeah,
people. And often you'll find people with, a lot of history of jumping from jobs to jobs.
mm,
And,
hmm,
I,
hmm,
why do you think that is? And
yeah,
do you think there's a
yeah,
solution for this phenomena? Like, is there a particular kind of job that suits such kinds of minds? Or, is there a
hmm,
sort of
hmm,
mind frame that the person must adjust to and allow themselves to be, functional at these kind of jobs? Why do
hmm,
you,
hmm, hmm,
what do you think the solution is when it comes to bipolar people and having a
hmm,
job?
hmm. I mean, of course, I do not have the proper solution, but I have perspective. See,
Okay.
where we were having this conversation, how the society is built in such a way that, like where neurotypical people function perfectly, they do not struggle, and the other people struggle a lot. This is my own take, by the way. And I genuinely feel how this entire society system, the idea of success, having a good life is built. It's essentially to take you away from your own essence. It really robs you from who you are, what really feels authentic and good to you. If you do not fit in a box, you are not normal. That's how the
Yeah.
society is built, which is very flawed. Again, like probably I cannot go, like I cannot change the entire system in one single day, but this is me utilizing my own experience, everything to make you aware about how this works. So first thing first, if you do not fit in a job, it's not something you are faulty or there is something defective about you, right? Now, like this was also one of the reason why I could not do any job because I knew that I cannot get out of the bed most of the days. How can I go and like go to office and report on certain time? That was my own journey of realizing that I actually cannot survive in a job. And when you ask me of the solution, what people can do if there is any mindset shift, I do not have any straight answer, but this is something I want to tell you that there is no job till now we have found that is designed for like people with autism, bipolar, ADHD. Most of the job do not take care of that. Like let's be honest about it. Like because again, like that's not how the society is built.
True. What I've
It
noticed is the creative fields, I mean, the
Yes, yes,
neurodivergents
yes.
are often artistic.
Indeed, yes, yes. So
And
this is where we can get into.
yeah, so what I was saying was by default, we have, different perspective than the common one. And, so by default, we are
Yes.
out of the box. And in a way, this might not sit well with, someone who is a neurotypical, but I think in a way, most people are just programmed to have
Yeah,
opinions and they can't think for themselves. And the
yeah,
irony is people who are supposedly inferior minds or whatever, mentally ill, they are the ones who often can, form their own opinions and think for themselves. But society is putting them down. They're like, no, you're mentally ill and you need to be further subdued with these pills. You can't. uh, I don't blame the medical industry for that. They are just doing their job. They are to the best of their understanding. They what happened now? Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 it got frozen, but yeah. Again, like even oh, you got frozen. I think I will wait for a moment before I.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm back.
it's better. Yeah, 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 yeah. I am not against medical system. It has been helping humanity with a lot of things, but you really have to question who is this, like who is getting benefit out of it, out of this medical system? Not us with the disorder, not us with the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
We do not actually get the solution, but there are some group of people who get the benefit out of it.
I would
Yeah,
say that
yeah,
I wouldn't just tell some person to listen to me and throw off their medications into the dustbin, because that would be very horrible advice. But at the same time, I do believe that the medications ultimately are toxic. Whichever way you look at it, the tablets are toxic, and they harm the system. They have a lot of side effects, and for a
yeah,
while you need them. I mean, I wouldn't say need. Yeah, probably need them. When a leg is broken, you need crutches to be
yeah.
able to walk.
Right, right.
But then once you once your leg is healed, you don't need the
Hmm.
crutches anymore. But that's
Exactly.
not
Hmm.
that's not how it works with the pills, because
Hmm. Hmm.
look, I would say a person, when it comes to his pills, he should be always in communication with the medical professional. But at the same time, he's living in a world where he's surrounded by neurotypicals, and they all are convincing him, no, you're ill. And that
Hmm.
programs him to
Hmm.
believe that, these tablets need to be taken because I'm mentally ill,
Yes.
and these
Yes.
are dawai, they'll heal me. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
like I said earlier, these tablets are needed just to sort of put you on a baseline and help you uh, not be too sensitive with the stimulations of society, because some minds are more sensitive than others.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
uh, I forgot what we started off with and how I went on this tangent, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the
Um.
job situation. Yeah, the job situation. The,
Yeah.
the issue with the creative field is you can't make a money out of it unless you're both really good and you have some next
Hmm.
level marketing. You should be next level good and have some next level marketing, because
Hmm.
I'm supposedly a writer and supposedly a musician, and from what I know in the music scene is no one is making money out of it. To make money out of it, you need to be really, really good for at it and do it for about 23 years. Then you can survive
Hmm.
as a musician in Bangalore. I don't know about the rest of the country, but yeah, even arts,
Hmm.
you can't make money from the creative field. That's the issue. That's why
Hmm.
we need a sort of systematic job where we can just put in our time and have that time being converted into money like everyone else. And that's the issue
Hmm.
that shows up with. And since we are unable to do that, since bipolar people are unable to sustain that normal job, it further puts them
Hmm.
down, further makes them believe, yeah, I
Hmm.
am not
Hmm.
well, I can't do this. Other people can do this stuff so easily, that means something is wrong with me. But no,
Hmm.
he's an intelligent person, but he's just not in the right environment where he can thrive.
Hmm. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Hmm. So there are actually couple of parts to it. What you shared. Like about the job, medicine, and creative part. This is true that the way the job market is structured, that really do not give a lot of space to your creativity, to your individual idea, right? Which again, like that's a part of the system which makes you feel then I am very different. I do not fit here. This idea to be fitted somewhere, it itself is a part of the programming.
I mean, we
The
are humans
moment,
after all. We can't thrive in solitude. I mean, solitude is good and it's healing and it's helps with your evolution. But we are social creatures. We can't be
hmm,
left alone while everyone else is, while everyone has someone. You can't just be alone. It. I, I don't know how to put it. At the same time, you develop through it in
yeah,
solitude. Ideas get born in solitude, but at the same time, you're left to face yourself when you're alone. And a lot of people cannot face themselves. We escape reality through whichever way we can, through
yes,
our addictions,
yes,
like, alcohol or cigarettes or whatever it might be, pornography, gambling, whatever. And that's the thing I
yeah,
think with
yeah,
with the with the bipolar mind, right? The sources of dopamine that
hmm,
make these addictions come. We get hooked on to
hmm,
the instant gratification, the instant release
hmm,
of dopamine, and
hmm,
I think
hmm,
that's
hmm,
what often causes mania. We abuse, say, substances like drugs and
hmm,
alcohol, and we
hmm,
push and push and push that dopamine. And at the same time, I think dopamine is sort of connected to paranoia. At least, you're
hmm, hmm, hmm.
overcompensating. You're experiencing a fear, and at the same time, you're self-medicating with something that just gives you a push.
I hear you. I hear
Am I
you.
making sense?
Yeah, you are, because I have been there. I have done marijuana for many, many years in my life, thinking that this is something that boosts my creativity. This is something that gives me high, that allows me to be myself. You got frozen. I will wait for a moment to, yeah. Yes, yes, you are back. So, yeah, I completely hear you on this. And because, again, like this is also a personal journey I have been through, like trying alcohol, marijuana years after years to get the high, to tell myself that this is where I get to be creative, I get to be myself. Again, this is a way you give yourself kind of false lie, because you do not see any other way. That's where you think you can cope with your situation, you can get away from the reality. But this is where the hard truth lies. The more you keep on escaping your what is actually happening inside, more you get stuck on the loop. You think that I am like with drugs, alcohol, da da da, everything, I am feeling better. But because with this, you are numbing a very essential part of you, where the root of the issue really lies. More you escape, more you get stuck. So it becomes loop years after years. And we have seen many people who get stuck in the same loop till the time they leave.
Yeah, it's stuck again. The video is stuck. No, it's on. Now
Yeah,
we're
it's
back. We're back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, Kushal, there are many parts to it. I have actually taken notes so that I do not like, these are very important topic that you brought that we need to talk about. One thing is, of course, like you can tell yourself with this false hope. And because being someone who has been through this experience of doing drug, telling myself it's helping me, and then realizing I am just trying to escape my situation. Again, like this is a very personal experience where I can tell you that this hard part is where your root of the issue lies. So this is one thing. And the second thing that you talk about is um, like how it get very difficult to survive in a job situation with the neurotypical people, and then you feel that I am different, I need to take the medicine to survive, or I will be isolated, because we are human being, we need to be around people. Here is my question to you: to be around which people you are exactly talking about? Like the same people probably you are trying to fit with, but really do not understand your situation, really do not create the environment for you to thrive. It comes from a
Some,
very natural human tendency, because we are human being, we want to belong, we
yeah,
want to have human connection. It's very normal, it's a part of being human being, but most of the time, because we again, like, we do not understand ourselves, we do not understand what kind of environment, what kind of people can really make us thrive, make us feel connected. We try to go everywhere, we try to make connection in every possible way we can, just to find ourselves like being isolated once again.
yeah. And someone, a psychologist friend, told me recently that you know the the desire to be, I mean, everyone wants to be understood and respected. If you don't get that, that's the basis of trauma, apparently. Everyone wants to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
understood. Forget respected. It's like
yeah,
when you're going through something that people around you won't get, they won't understand. And since they don't understand, and since they are the majority, they label you as stupid. I mean, because they don't understand you, and they think they are whatever. So
yeah,
when
yeah.
this feeling of not being understood is
Hmm.
what keeps people in their desperation. It makes
Yes.
them feel low, alone. They feel alone in the universe because they're not understood. Forget respected. Respected is some other level, but just being
Hmm.
understood. For being themselves, like, and that's when the perspective of other people who don't understand them, their opinions would be accepted as, yeah, maybe this person is right. Maybe he'll the person, the neurodivergent person would abandon his ideas, his understanding, and adopt, other people's understanding of him. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you just need to get a job. You just need to get a wife. You just need money." I mean,
Yeah.
those things are important. I'm not saying it's important, but a lot is going through the mind of a neurodivergent person that a normal. I'm using the word normal because I know convenience
Yeah.
sake,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
normal
Hmm.
person just wouldn't understand. They can't even imagine unless they've worked with a lot of neurodivergent people and they have experience, or they've read a lot about this and they've explored a lot and had family and friends who've gone through this and they've taken the extra step to understand them. They cannot even imagine what it's like in these people's minds.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
because of this, since I think after a point, the neurodivergent person will stop trying to be understood and he'll start accepting whatever other people tell about him to be true. He wants to be like them. It becomes a fight ultimately. Ultimately, he wants to be
Yes.
normal. He's a beautiful individual by himself. He has a beautiful mind and his own way of looking at the world. And but since he's not like the rest and nobody understands him, he wants to be like the rest. He wants to be accepted, respected, understood, like any other normal person. So yeah, that was it.
Yes. Yes. The question is, at what cost?
Yeah,
At what cost? At the cost of literally abandoning yourself, which is actually one of the root causes of you experiencing the situation that you are experiencing. Because your internal realities. different from the external world, and because it's different from the external world and you so desperately really want to fit in, again because this is human nature to belong, to fit, to be loved, you desperately go outwards rejecting your own self, which is one of the primary reason for you to be stuck in the this never ending loop of chasing something externally and abandoning yourself.
Yeah,
And that's exactly why you never get to experience who you truly are. And again, there is another point to it, Kushal, that is the way this matrix, the society's program, it is with a lot of fear, a lot of confusion, a lot of self-doubt. That's how this society thrives. When you are full with a lot of confusion, lot of fear, self-doubt, questioning yourself, uh, like that's how the entire system thrive on, right? Which again like takes you away from who you are.
I would go as far as to say this condition of human beings is that the world is asleep, and often, when someone is experiencing something like a manic episode where there's psychosis and shit, uh, it it can be seen as the person has completely lost his mind, but it can also be seen as the person is seeing through the matrix of reality, and he's having a glimpse through it, and he's interpreting stuff very impatiently because he's not guided. The only people he's being guided by
Yes,
are the doctors and people who don't understand what's going through,
yes,
who can't
yes,
imagine what's
yes.
going on. And so he's forced to accept that, yeah, he went batshit crazy during this episode, and he goes into depression after that, and he needs to be like, I can't believe I thought imagined those things and I saw those things. And it often when a person is going through a manic episode, there's a sort of there are often religious delusions of kind. A person might feel like they are some kind of god, but like I said,
Hmm, hmm.
that it's just that person interpreting what he's perceiving very impatiently, and he's not being guided by the right
Yes,
kind of
yes,
sources.
yes,
So,
yes. To
but
hmm, hmm,
at
hmm,
the same time, though,
hmm.
what he's seeing is something very real. The reason he's seeing himself as a god is because, like I said, the world is in a state of asleep, and sometimes through some phenomena, people get glimpses through the matrix of reality, and
Hmm,
reality
hmm,
is
hmm,
a state
hmm,
in which people are just sleepwalking and echoing out, the
hmm.
programming that they are being forced to, they're being subjected to, and they can't. People in society generally can't think for themselves. They can't form their own opinions. It's being formed for them, and that's the biggest
Yeah.
irony because often it's the neurodivergent people who are free to have their own thoughts and opinions, and they are the ones who are mentally ill. They are the ones who can think for themselves, and they are the ones who are mentally ill. They are just being seen as weird and abnormal, and uh, you know, and they are cast out from having any legit opinion
Hmm.
about anything because they are just mentally ill, and it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
anyway, that
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
my again perspective. We are just discussing perspectives. We are not describing what's real and what's not real, and that's just my
Hmm.
perspective on things.
Hmm. While you were talking about this, there is one thing came in my mind. Show me one psychiatrist who actually have been through this experience and then he's treating others. You will find none. because he also, like, if there is anyone, he will also know that this is not how you can get the cure. The what point I'm trying to make here is the perspective that is being mostly offered out there. Most of the people, they have not experienced this, so they do not know what actually goes inside the mind. They have studied, there are many studied, but you do not have the first hand experience to actually tell what actually goes through, to actually understand when someone is saying that I feel like I'm a god. If you have not been through that experience, of course you will feel that person is mad.
Yeah,
To
definitely.
to really be able to understand, I genuinely feel you have to go through the phase of experiencing madness at least once to understand what it actually feels, and only then you
Yeah,
can tell other people.
yeah, because I see a manic episode as something dark at the same time mystical, and not just dark, it's beautiful as well. But there is definitely some element of it that's mystical. And
Indeed. Mm.
in my
Mm.
experiences, for some reason, I always believe that everyone else also knows it, not just me. But no, when I snap out of it, I realize that no, people are just seeing me as some mad guy who's just some mentally ill guy, and they don't share my understanding of what's going on. And like I
Mm.
said,
Mm.
the world is asleep, and sometimes it's just chaos that wakes them up. And
Yeah, yeah,
when a person is going through a manic
yeah.
episode, they become an agent of chaos, to quote a character in a movie. Uh,
Yes.
and
And
okay,
mm,
go on.
mm. This is exactly where we need to bring regulation. Being someone who has actually been through this episode of, like going through extreme mania, like when I look back, it still feels true to me. In that time, you experiencing what you are experiencing, that is true to your reality. What is, I would say, not exactly missing, but what element we need to bring is the sense of regulation.
What do you mean by that?
Yes. So when you are going through extreme high and lows, your brain function differently. How you perceive the reality is different. How
Yeah,
you respond is different,
yeah,
right? That means, like, see, when you are like going through this like manic phase, that simply also means that the logical and rational part of your mind has been hijacked. You do not think logically, rationally, right?
yeah,
And again, like, this is a mind, this is a brain state. We cannot change this like just as in snap of the hand, but that also does not mean your experience is not true. This mystical part that you are talking about, something that is not considered in traditional medicine, but if you look in the field of shamanism, where people actually are open to understand the psyche, the real medicine that lies inside in your psychotic episode. If you really are open to understand or even look into this perspective, you will find a lot of how do I say, like, um, magic, a lot of ability inside you that can actually be beneficial for you and the people out there. But again, this needs to be regulated. This needs to be supervised. Someone needs to tell you that this is how you bring the regulation, right? This is how your mental health illness is a portal for you to identifying the magical being who you are, the creative energy that you have, the supernatural energy that you actually have. By regulation, I simply means being in the state of awareness, having the solid root inside, being able to like, you might be experiencing a lot of thing in your mind, having a lot of hallucination, experience in your mind, but you do not impulsively jump into this. Management of impulse is what regulation is. And this is what and this is a practice. This is something you need to learn over the time.
Okay.
That I do not jump into making a conclusion. I do not jump into making a decision that I might regret later.
True.
And again, this is a nervous system state. That means your nervous system has been programmed since your childhood or even before that to experience a lot of fight or flight response. Either it start to fight, either it start to get freezed, or it get hyperactivated, but it's not being regulated.
No,
And to understand that, yeah, tell me.
I think when you're on a manic episode, just prior understandings of facts is not sufficient for you to navigate through it in the most safe possible way,
Yes.
because you're operating in a very different frequency, and you need
Hmm.
guidance, I mean, and you need a sort of, I don't know if it's possible actually to for a person to be in the middle of society and not have friction with his with the person's environment because of the differences in mental frequency between him and the people around him.
Hmm. Hmm.
So so it's tough to find the right guidance when a person is going through that, and ultimately it's I would say I've had some kind of like divine backing of some kind, that I didn't end up getting beaten up or dead over the years, despite doing all the things that I did and believing all the things that I believed, because I wasn't guided. But I think at the same time, I somehow got through uh, in one piece,
Hmm.
being
Hmm. Hmm.
a total agent of chaos in the middle of society. And, I'm thankful to everything that played a part
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
getting me through all those experiences and being here where I am right now. So I don't think I
Hmm.
could always be that lucky, and everyone could be as lucky.
Hmm. 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 Yeah,
Some,
I
some,
mean, hmm, hmm, hmm. Of course, it creates a lot of challenge in all the possible layers, because it's more like you have been put in a system where it's more like you do not see yourself being fitted, and you want to fit because you want to belong, but there is this huge clash that you are this the friction that you are talking about, that I really do not feel expanded, feel safe, feel heard here, but this is what I feel, this is where I have to belong, because that's the society is, that's how it functions. And another thing that you talked about, that how difficult it gets to like when you are actually being maniac, even having all this information truly does not help, because like your brain functioning has been hijacked. You will not be like, even after knowing everything, you will not be able to make a decision. But does that mean this is never ending thing? I don't believe so. And this is exactly where I am telling that it takes long time to actually heal. This is not one day or like 1 month thing. Even when you start to understand your own self, where it's starting, this is something I need to follow, this is exactly what I need to do, like you will still find yourself in the situation of being dysregulated. It's inevitable. But with consistency, things get better. I can guarantee things get better, because I have been there. I have seen things getting better just bit by bit. And over the years, it just accumulated.
Okay, so we've crossed a lot of time with this phone call already. I think we'll get to the last section of it, and how we started it off by talking about yourself.
Ye-
Maybe you could talk about what you can do to someone like me? I mean, because that's your profession, and in what ways could you be of help, and in what ways could the person themselves be of help to their own selves, and some
Hmm.
advice. Let's end it on that
Hmm.
note.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, First thing first, there is no quick fix. There is no quick
Okay.
fix, but there is possibility. Okay, there is definitely possibility. Healing, like having a different reality, is possible. Secondly, you really have to be very compassionate with yourself, knowing that this is my data, this is my pattern. So every one of you, every one of us have some data. Previous, previous, how do I say, like responses. This is exactly what it goes for me. These are the thing that happens, these are the issue that I experience. Let's say I start to feel very restless, or I start to see this kind of change, or I start to see this kind of issue happening in my family, and then gradually this shift happens. So what I'm essentially asking you is to become an observer, and this is something you have to do lifetime. You are, what I really want you and all of you to be is to be your own guide and trusting that it can be done. Of course, help is available, like that can be done, but you can be your own guide too. And this is how you can do it. First thing first, you become this observer. You know that this is my pattern, this is how it goes. And I am willing to believe that probably there can be some shift. And I am willing to see myself with the lens of compassion throughout this journey, without giving it a timeline, without telling I need to heal in 1 year or 6 months, da da da. So that's the first layer. And the second thing is, like, these are multi layers now. Really being willing to see what has happened with me for me to experience what I experience today. मेरे में कुछ गलत नहीं है, बट कुछ तो डेफिनेटली हुआ होगा जिसके जिसके वजह से मैं आज ये एक्सपीरियंस कर रही हूँ, कर रहा हूँ. Willing to, being willing to see that. Of course, having someone on board really helps, but you can do it too. So then you have to understand where it started. How exactly primarily you start to have this experience throughout this childhood. How was, like, what kind of thing you have experienced in your childhood, how you have seen your parents reacting, how you have understood things about yourself. Most of us, we have this extreme irregulation of mood and energy because there was no one to help us regulate in the childhood in the first place. There cannot be any otherwise, I bet on that. The question you had in the middle, what's the difference between people who are normal and who are abnormal, is simply that people who are normal, they had some regulated environment in their life and other did not. Probably there were a lot of fight, probably there were a lot of violence. I grew up in a hell lot of violence. So of course, from there, I learned this is what normal is. My nervous system constantly went through this, like constant state of trying to find safety, trying to constantly, like seek what might go wrong. So my entire, like, it again, this is biology. How your brain function, how your nervous system is going to be built, going to be, like function throughout your life. The base is built in the childhood. So that's a non-negotiable thing to look into. What exactly happened throughout in my childhood and in my parental history, in my ancestral history, that I have developed this kind of brain. And let me tell you one beautiful thing, that there is something called in our brain that's called neuroplasticity. Our brain is like in elastic. It can be stretched. So it can be shift, it can be switched, it can be changed. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes some work. But change is absolutely possible because of the nature of the mind, because of the neuroplasticity. So if I really have to give you a handout how you do this work, first seeing your biology, how it started. Secondly, checking into your somatics, how you actually feel in your body. Most of the time, people with not regulation, like people who go through this extreme, most of us, we do not know how to regulate. We do not know how our body actually function in different situations. So the idea is to bring that sense of safety and stability through breath work. Now this is where you have to find what works for you. Even meditation do not help for everyone, especially with people with PTSD, CPTSD. Meditation do not help them. And again, having someone on board really helps because you do not have regulation, but when you work with someone who has regulated nervous system, who can show you how to regulate, again, you learn co-regulation. We are human beings. We survive in context with someone else. ये रेगुलेशन भी हम बचपन से ही सीखते हैं, इरेगुलेशन भी हम बचपन से ही सीखते हैं, बिकॉज आवर मदर, बिकॉज आवर पेरेंट डिड नॉट नो हाउ टू रेगुलेट, वी ऑल्सो डू नॉट नो हाउ टू रेगुलेट. But this is something that can be learned. So you understand your somatic, how does the body responds, how, like, what are the things I have seen that has worked for me, that makes me feel more in my body, more relaxed, more expanded. Is it a walk every day? Is it good nutrition? So very important. One of the things that I started to change while I decided that I'm going to quit medicine is literally searching what element my mind lacks, what kind of like this chemical boost that my mind lack that I can get from outside. Because I was also dealing with severe depression. I started to have celery every single day. I started to go out. I remember it used to feel like a push, like मैं बेड से उठ नहीं पाती थी, but I would still drag myself because I knew this is a part of my medicine. So you really have to see what are the way your brain can find its own balance that it's trying to find from outside medicine. Again, I am not advising anyone to quit medicine, but I am telling you there can be ways through which we can find different modalities that our like brain and nervous system can like find its own balance, right? And then we combine all of it. We combine all of it together. And one thing that you mentioned in between, and I feel it feels important to at least touch upon that, if not going in a great detail, that you said that for a lot of people like us, we are creative and we cannot make the money, we cannot do the job. Again, this is a programming, this is a mind programming that has been done hugely on us. It again thrives on you to believe that it's difficult for me to make the money, which may not be true. I am not going there in detail, but let me just give you this information idea that it's absolutely possible to make something on your own. This is the society, this is your programming that makes you believe that I cannot make money in this way. So there are many layers to address. Of course, mindset is a thing, but I cannot only get into the mindset without seeing the biology, without seeing the previous pattern, the childhood history, the generational trauma. All of this plays a huge role. Till my life, I have not encountered anyone with severe mental health history who do not come from a traumatic background or their ancestor did not go through a severe thing. It's impossible. So while we look into the field of healing, the possibility, we really have to like take care of all of this. We really have to address all of this. But yes,
Okay,
regulation is possible. Yeah.
cool. That was very informative and insightful. Anyway, it's been a long time since this call was going. People have usually short attention spans, and I could do this for a longer time. I don't mind speaking for another hour, but you know, people need to get in the information as well before deciding that it's too long. And either way, it was it
It's
was
okay.
nice.
I
So
think, yeah, I mean, we will be open to take any, like question or anything people have. And if needed, we can get on another call when it's needed, right?
yeah, sure. Either way, it was nice talking to you. And where are you right now? Which country or whatever?
Oh, right now I'm in Bali, Indonesia.
Oh, nice, fun, have fun. How's the weather?
It was raining today. It was very hot for last couple of days, but today it was raining. That's a relief.
Okay, I hope you have a good rest of the vacation and have fun. Thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah.
being here with me and talking to me and giving good pieces of
My
advice that
pleasure.
I hope people will absorb, and I'll see you around, I guess.
Sure, sure. Take care. I will, like stop the recording.
Cool.